Sit up straight and tall. Start to feel more rather than less.
We're not.
Let in. You have to let in to let go, and you have to let go to let in. So you just land here for a second. Remember, I think the allowing energy, when you allow, you receive more of you. Right? And so especially in centering, that matters. When you're just trying to open yourself up to more sensation. And one of the places where we push away awareness is in our organs of perception. So soften around your temples, release the skin on your forehead, release your face, soften your jaw, the inside of your mouth. So that's where all the places where your mind grips outwardly because it's taking in information. And then start to feel the grounding, the fall, where your feet are, where you're sitting on, how you're sitting on your chair. Right? So, and then the beginning movement towards asana is a movement towards congruence. So you hit down and you hit down with your sitting bones, start to rise up the front of the chest. So down near your base. And as you do that, as you differentiate your sitting bones from your very low abdomen, keep aware down to your heels. Because all those go together. There's pranic awareness here that goes deeper than the physical. So the down and the up by the base of the spine helps you not only lift up, but also feel your feet more on this subtler level. Again, keep the tongue in the lower palate. Broaden across the collarbones, but also across the back ribs. So you're expanding down, up, and across. And now be more aware of front to back. So be aware of a softness, like a silk curtain dropping down from the base of the neck down to the tailbone as you are lifting up the front side. Back body awareness is crucial in yoga. The back side of where your mind is operating. Feel the breath into each nostril, into each lung. Stay connected to your seat, your sitting bones and your feet. The whole vessel receives on inhalation. The whole vessel receives and lets go on exhalation. Synchronize the feeling in each nostril with each lung. Stay inward, knowing that this is your strongest place. Stay steady in the quiet. Repose, reinvigorate your body. The down, the up, the open, the rise, the fall. Re-notice your breath. Good. And then release. Take your sternum up towards your chin down over your sternum. Again, paying particular attention to the feeling in your rib cage at the base of your spine. Raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. All right, so I gotta close down my mail program here so you guys don't have to listen to my mail coming in. All right, so let's ground a little bit, be a little bit more symmetrical. So I want you to get equal on your sitting bones, right? Like most likely, I sit way heavier on one of my sitting bones. Then I'm putting my hands on my legs, right? And I just want you to really pay attention to be more each side. So be aware of each heel. So maybe press down, and even if you can't do it physically, press down through your right heel, and then your left, and then go back and forth a little bit between each one. So I'm going, even though I can't move and push, I'm moving a little bit in my pelvis, trying to like feel the difference from side to side. And then do the same with your sitting bones, kind of go down more on one and then the other, and try to like get the communication happening between the two sides. And then be more aware of like each shoulder as you press down through one and then the other. So you're just trying to get a sense of your whole body, like moving and feeling back and forth. And then I want you to come forward, change your gravity, right? And then back. Now, what I want you to do is like do these movements, but be aware of each side of your body. So then go over to the right and then to the left. And so we're just kind of like warming up, and then forward, right? And then back, right? And you're just trying to be more aware of each side of your body. So the symmetry, and then go back to the middle for a second. So the symmetry, each hand, each sitting bone, each foot, each shoulder, like you go back. And in order to feel your body at this level, right, you need to go inward. So you're not necessarily staring at the screen as intently right now, right? You're just feeling it. And then again, we're going to go over to the right. So we're going to go right. You just kind of get it where you're on your chair, not just in your chair. And then to the left, and then back, and then forward. So we're just trying to notice the changes in your legs. And over to the right again, and over to the left, and then forward, and then back. So you're just trying to get this feeling of, and then if you can, like, I want you to lift up a little bit. So I'm pushing on my wheelchair, like, I want to go and lifting up and lengthening my abdomen. And as I lengthen my abdomen, I'm extending down at the same time. So I'm going back and forth because I want to get more woken in my body, right? And if you can lift up, and then set yourself back down. So this length of the abdominal cavity is really important. So I'm lifting up. If you can lift up, do, and letting your sits bones hang down. So hopefully, and then forward again, and then back. Hopefully you're getting this sense from the movement, then to the right, and then to the left. You're getting this feeling of, because of the movement, you're getting a sense of a little bit lighter, like there's more bounce in you. And keep that bounce and go back to symmetry. So each foot, each knee, each hand, each shoulder, and breathe. So you're trying to combine different subtle sensations, right? And then remember, anchoring from the center of the chest, look over to the left, but do it from here. And know, as soon as you anchor, you have to feel your sitting bones too, right? And then go back to center, and then go to the right. Being very cognizant of making your base in your chest, and then go to the first side, right? And then go back. So I'm just getting my spine to be more open. And then I'm going to come forward again. And then back. Because twists, especially when you're doing chair practices, twists are the most dynamic thing I think you can do, right? In a chair, twists. So we're just trying to make sure your head is staying connected to your spine. So again, go to the right. So instead of your head just being a swivel up here, you're trying to get it so, and then come back to center. It works. So it's part of your spine as you move, right? And then stretch your arms straight down and lift under the collarbones. Mm-hmm. And hit down and practice the symmetry again now with different, not holding onto your own legs. Like there's less reference. So you're hitting down, lifting up, right? And then inhale and take your left arm up. And then exhale it back down. And then inhale your right arm up. And exhale it back down. And remember, if the breath coordination is not what you should focus on, don't. Focus on the movement, right? And then first side again. Mm-hmm. And now turn the tricep in towards your face. So this goes in, right? And the shoulder blade goes down. And then back down. And then other side up, and then rotate it in. And you're looking for a corridor. You're looking for a way to connect all the way down through your feet when you turn your arm in. And then back down. And then take your right arm up. Left arm, pardon me. Your left arm up. Now press down through your right foot, right? Go to the opposite side and then back down. And then raise your right arm. Press down through your left sitting bone and left foot. So you kind of get this crisscrossing energy. First side again. Mm-hmm. And then take your arm up over your head. Hit down and rise up, right? And then back down, right? And then little right arm. And then up, hitting down, and then back down. Mm-hmm. And then put both arms by your sides again. Lift under the collarbones. Mm-hmm. And then I want you to extend your spine forward. So I'm just going to put my arms on my legs, or if you have a table in front of you, do that. Right? But I want spinal length. So I'm keeping my sitting bones down and I'm extending my spine. And then I'm trying to broaden between the shoulder blades and across the sacrum. So although I'm extending this way, I'm also moving this way across my back, right? So I'm trying to get the back to be not just elongated, but spread and elongated. Both. And then release. And then lean back. And I want you to notice the difference. So and I want you to notice the difference in sensation. Come forward again and just try to lengthen and lift your chest and hit down through your sitting bones, right? That's good. There's nothing wrong with this, right? Where you're hitting down and you're more thinking about this length, right? So feel that and then release. And now activate that again through the sitting bones out to the top of your head, but now broaden it between the shoulder blades and across the sacrum and feel how that changes the sensation. So you're going long and across. Mm-hmm. Good. And then release. Where the vertical hits the horizontal is part of where yoga, the sensation of yoga really happens, right? And then be back again. So, right. And then inhale, take your left arm up. Roll it in. Mm-hmm. Exhale it over to your side. Be smart with this hand. Like so, I'm grabbing behind I'm hooking my arm around my wheelchair and grabbing my wheel, right? But instead of worrying so much about how much I twist at first, I'm hitting down with my sitting bones and lifting up to my chest. So we're just doing like a warm-up twist. This is not a contest right now about how far you can twist. And then inhale. It's okay to pay attention like that. And then exhale and revolve. So, but I want you more, if you're not, don't worry about your breath as much as the elongation of your spine. So the inhale helps you make a little bit of space. The exhale is when you turn, because you've got the space and moving into action, and then come on back to center. So again, remember that you create space and then you move into action on exhalation. That's overstated, but it's generally true. Right arm up, exhale down, figure out how you're gonna stay grounded. So I'm grabbing, it's different on this side for me. So now I'm hitting down through my sitting bones and lifting up through my chest, right? So the twist is already happening. And then I notice what happens on my inhalation. Get a little bit of space. And on the exhalation, I maybe turn a little bit. But I want you to get the dynamic energy of a twist. So I'm not worried about how far you go. Good, and then come on back to center. And be in the center. And so I'm getting myself reset because I know, because I just twisted, I'm kind of off on my seat. So I'm going back to the midline again. Back to symmetry. Taking a couple of breaths. And so now I want you to roll a little bit of your left shoulder, like just feel it, where it is, but keep your mind and consciousness as you're rolling your left shoulder. Keep your awareness also in your right sitting bone and foot. So I'm feeling sensation here because I'm moving, but I'm keeping it grounded in relationship to the rest of my body, right? And then the other shoulder, right? Like you start rolling it, but like you're rolling it around. And if you weren't thinking about your whole body, you just pay attention to your rolling. I don't want you to just pay attention to your rolling. I want you to like roll the right shoulder and be aware of the left side of your body, right? So I want you to do both and then be in the center, because this holistic inward sense is what you want to get it from a yoga pose. It's not whether you can touch the floor or do whatever more extreme. It's whether you can maintain a holistic sense of your whole body while certain movements are occurring, right? So go over to the left, to the right, right? Keep your chest lifted, open here. Be aware of the back side, right? Down this leg. So that's your left leg, right? And you're getting this length in the abdomen, and then the arm goes up. As you stretch your arm and lengthen out through the fingertips, keep the shoulder blade back and be more aware of your legs. Good, and then release. So as I start to really try to work the arm, I'm actually trying to work the arm to spread awareness to my legs, right? So they're gonna go the other way. Right? And then the arm goes up. And now I'm working to elongate, instead of just being collapsed here, I'm working to elongate, keeping discipline in my shoulder blade, right? So I can feel my base. So notice I'm going horizontally, right? But I'm making sure that I don't lose this length, right? Good, and then come on up. Be in the center. So now I want you to extend from your inner, if you feel your sitting bones, extend from your inner groin to your inner knee, right? And then down to the inner heel. So you've got this line kind of going downward, and you lift away from that, right? And take a breath or two, or just pause right in there. Feeling that length. Now, I want you to add some more stuff. So as you got a sense of that, I want you to try to broaden across your heels, right? Broaden across your heels, even if you can't do it. So I can't physically do that. But when I try to do it, I feel a change in my lower abdomen, right? Which is yoga. And then I'm also going to broaden across the very low back. So although I'm extending down and rising up, I'm more consciously trying to add places of horizontal movement across my back, my low back, right, as I'm going down. So this idea of going in two directions, both in a straight line up and down and across, is in every yoga pose, right? So you're like, just like making sure you are feeling that, right? So now, and then inhale, release. Inhale, take your left arm up. So now this vertical line is more accentuated, right? But I still want you to spread your sitting bones and be aware of the heels on each foot, right? So you're going in a vertical plane, but you're working more yogically to feel a horizontal plane. Good, and then back down. And then the right arm up. And again, this gets accentuated, right? But you're broadening across your sacrum, broadening across your heels, feeling space between your sitting bones. As you roll the tricep in, broaden between the shoulder blades. Good, and then take your arm down. And then come forward again. So I want you to lean forward, either onto your own legs or chairs, and like lengthen your back. So you're hitting down through your sitting bones and lifting up through your chest. So down through your sitting bones, up through your chest. But now I want you to broaden across your chest, right? So roll the shoulder blades slightly back, right? And broaden across your sacrum as you're lifting your chest and hitting your sits bones into the mat, into your seat. Mm-hmm. And being with this should be kind of an intense pose right now. And it's just notice your breath. Let it feed the intensity of the inward action. Good, and then release. Now you're gonna go over to the right again. Mm-hmm. And then raise the arm. And now you've got this nice opening here. You're lengthening your spine this way. You're hitting down this way. You're more open, right? So this needs to open. And then as the arm goes over your head towards Parsvakonasana, you've gone to more of the vertical plane, but this still needs to roll up towards the ceiling to find your legs. So lengthen this way, stretch out through the fingertips, keep the shoulder blade down, but rotate the stomach slightly up towards the ceiling, being aware of each foot, both sitting bones. Good, and then come on back. So even in actions that look like they're in one line, they're not. You're starting to work in a whole bunch of them. And then go the other way. And again, you're being aware of this length, you're hitting down, but you got this broadening, you got this open feeling, right? So, and then as you keep that going in all directions, right? Then the arm goes over the head and you lengthen, but you're still opening and broadening across here to find both legs. Good, and then release. On up. Come forward again. Lengthen your back. So now, I would like your hands to have some sort of reference, right? So, like right now I have mine on my knees, or my wrists hitting my knees and my palms open. Right, so if your arms are long enough, you can use your wrists against your knees, right? To lift your chest up, right? But now I want you to lengthen down the underside of your arms. Spread out through each finger by activating the center of the palm, right? So I've got intensity here. I've got work in my arms. I'm broadening my palms and I'm extending out through each finger. I don't even care if your fingers can move or not. I just want the activation happening from the center of the palm out through the fingers, lifting the chest. Good, and then release. Take a couple of breaths. Just let your breath go back, normal breathing. Mm-hmm. And then again. So now I'm starting what looks like an easy thing. I'm just here, but I'm going to start turning up the volume of intensity in the pose. I'm going to start lifting my chest, hitting down through my sitting bones, stretching the underside of my arms, broadening my palms, and stretching out through the fingers. Now, I want you to take the shoulder blades down, but spread them apart, right? So down and apart. That adds intensity. Now extend from the inner groin to the inner knee, down to the inner heel. As you're spreading between the shoulder blades, still working the arms in a straight line, but broadening and spreading your fingers. Breathe. Good, and then release. So I'm hoping this is being worked, that you're not just hanging out here. Like, it's definitely being worked for me, and it's hard to talk into it. All right, so now I'm going to do it again. So now you're making sure you get the intensity. It comes out of like not being yoga. And then I start to feel my sitting bones. Lift my chest, stretch out through the inner side of my arms. Now don't overlap your low back. Remember we talked about that last week. Broadening across the palms, out through the fingers. Extending from the inner groin, down to the inner knee, down to the inner heel. Now broadening between the shoulder blades and broaden across the sacrum. And move in every direction. So let yourself be there for a while. Don't hold your breath. Good, and then release. Feel that for a second. Good, so like to me, I have to like integrate that. Like I felt like the energy was surging in my body, right? So I just need to like, not just relax, but integrate the work that I just did. And then left arm up. Exhale it down. Grab behind the chair. Now that same intensity, right, I want in this twist. So make sure you ground your sitting bones. Feel the inner groin to the inner knee down to the inner heel, right? Broaden between the shoulder blades across the sacrum. And then inhale and exhale farther into the twist. You're getting, it's like you turned up the water pressure inside a pipe. Like you're like, there's way more going on than the first time we twisted. And you notice now your breath, like I just got a good adjustment in my spine as I took a breath because it made space in my spine. You heard it go click, click. Good, and then release and come on back to center. So this ability to take what seems like a simple outer action, don't do it yet like that, right? But do it from a heightened intensity or volume is part of what the yogic realization is. So again, take the inhale, take the arm up. Exhale it down. Grab your chairs in the right place where you can start turning up the volume. Right? So hit down through your sitting bones. Extend from your inner groin to the inner knee, down to the inner heel. Lengthen your spine. Feel the little bit of space that your inhale helps you feel. Take that space and twist it. Really staying grounded in your sitting bones. The lift of the lower abdomen up through the chest, down through the inner heel. Another breath that makes a little bit of space. And twist with the space. Good, and then come on back to center. It's almost like in a twist, you're twisting it, make some space, and then you twist that space, that feeling of space. So be in the center. Find a couple of breaths here. Engage your arms again. So now as you spread your underside of your arms, open the palms, spread the fingers. I want you to do the same thing with your feet that you're doing with your hands. Right? So spread your toes. Be more aware of the sole of the foot. So you're trying to, it's like I obviously can't move my toes, but I'm still trying to extend them and lengthen them on the inner body, on the pranic body. And as I've got my hands and my feet, now I'm gonna lift my chest some more. So I'm feeling like all my hands and my feet and my sitting bones now, and across the shoulder, the collarbones. Good. And then release. For those of you that can, right, take one leg, take your left leg off your foot pedals, or spread it out a little bit. Actually, yeah, let's do this for a second. So your left leg is off. Notice I'm reaching down and putting my hand, grabbing you either grab underneath your chair. If you're in a wheelchair, you grab your footrest, right? So I've got a connection between the inside of my arm here and the inside of my leg, right? Now I'm going to twist away from that. So I've got a connection here, a grounding point. This arm, my right arm, goes around the back of my chair, right? Or whatever, it could be on the side of your chair. Get it where I could hold my wheelchair if I needed to. I'm going to go here because I can, but it could be here too, right? And then I'm going to push in here with this hand into my leg and open and revolve away from the leg that's off to the side a little bit. Now, once I'm here, I need to ground down through my right heel, the one that's not off the pedal or moved on the floor. And you're lifting your chest and you're revolving away from a change base, and then come on back to center. And then you put your leg off, put it straight underneath you. And then take the other foot off if you can. Otherwise, it's fine, But put your hand on the inside of the leg that's off to the side. Use it as a leverage point. See, now here, this way, I twist different on this side. So I'm only grabbing my wheelchair here. I'm not going behind my chair. And I'm lifting up through my core. I'm pushing my arm into my leg and revolving away from the leg that's a little bit off to the side. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. Right, so I'm twisting, I'm twisting opposite to how I usually do with the first two twists, and then come on back to center. And put both feet back underneath you. So one of the things that is hard to get when you're doing yoga in a wheelchair, trying to get a sense of your groins, your inside of your inner thigh, right? Getting them more open. So I want you to take, if you can, take your hands on the inside of your legs, right? And I want you to hit the back of your hands, the side of your legs, right? And try to get, and those of you that can, if you can bring your feet up the pedals a little bit, right? All the better, but it doesn't matter, right? So see, now I've got both my hands up, but I got to worry about falling forward. So I'm staying back on my chair and I'm grabbing my chair seat, right? But I just want you to get this open feeling in the groins, right? So I activate my arms. I feel my feet on the floor, right? And I'm just trying to get my groins more open, and then bring your feet back together. And you can do it with your feet together too, right? So here I am, right? I'm gonna go a little higher and just try to get this sense of movement and openness at the base of the spine. Because the standing poses, one of the things that, and then release for a second, one of the things that you're not getting when you're in a chair is the standing poses are constantly asking you to spread your base, right? So one leg, you might be 3.5, 4 feet wide. You might have one leg out, one leg bent. All these things are opening the student through the groin, right? And and making them not only open, but coordinate the actions between the legs, right? So we're not going to be able to take a leg way off to the side, right? But we want to get that sense of open and strength at the base of the spine. So what we're trying to do here is just trying to make the difference. So I want you to bring your knees together, right? And then take them apart, right? Whoops, and I knock my own leg off the trying to keep my legs together here. All right, and then together again, and then apart. And those of you that can spread them farther apart, do, right? So you get this. So for me, I'd like go, again, I'd go wide like this, but I want them open. And then I want to get the feeling of them coming together, right? And then open, and then together. And then open. Now I want you to open and lift your chest and hit down through your sitting bones, and then together, and then open. So when you're open here, do you think it's an inhalation? Probably, yeah. Right? And then when you put them together, exhale, and then inhale, open, exhale together, back and forth, open on the inhalation, exhalation together. So we're just trying to get the sense and the movement and the sense of movement in the legs, even though you're in a chair. And then apart, a couple more times. I come forward, I go back to go apart, right? Forward to legs together, right? And try to now start to see this opening and closing, not just in your legs, but also in your chest, right? And then open, and then come forward, and then open, and then come forward. So you want to get both, and then just sit there for a second. And then those of you that can, take your legs off the go, have your legs wide if you can. So now this is where you got to be careful, right? So I'm going to want to go over to the left with, now notice how I've got my hand, my forearm against my leg. I'm staying grounded. I'm even grabbing my seat cushion, right? Now I'm going to like start to open. Now my legs are wide and I'm starting to twist away from where I'm pushing on my leg, right? Right? And revolve. Take an inhalation, extend the spine long and revolve some more. And then slowly come back to the middle. Be in the middle. And then go the other way. All right, so now I'm going to be twisting. This is different again for me from side to side. So now I'm trying to twist away from a wider stance, a more open groin as I turn my torso, lip on the collarbones. Good, and then come on back to center. Be in the center. Make the center matter, right? And think about during the course of your day, like when you going around, let's say you get around in a wheelchair, right? Think about being, instead of just hunkered down here, being more open here as you reach for things, right? So like there was a big breakthrough for me after years of yoga where when I would move my arm, after a lot of practice, I can feel it through my legs too. Like my whole body would, and one part of my body moves, my whole body moves, right? So I just want to practice. So you grab between, I'm grabbing the seat, chair seat, right? And so when I'm going to take my left arm out, I want to just feel like my whole body is moving, right? Is being part of the action. So I'm actually making sure I give a little pressure down the opposite leg. Inhale, and then exhale. Or don't pay attention to the breath if it's confusing. And then trying to like feel like my whole body moves, right? Even my feet, even my sitting bones. Like everything is part of the movement. And then back down. And then everything. It's like even I feel the soles of my feet. Like everything's trying to be with the movement. And being grounded. And then down. And again, everything moves. Everything moves. Right? And then back to the middle. And then come forward again. Again, grounding your sitting bones, lengthening your spine. Broadening across the sacrum. Broadening across each heel. Lengthening through the chest and lifting the chest. Remember last week, as you came up, push down through your feet. I have to push with my hands, but I'm going to push down through my feet and keep my feet, my hands, and my chest together as I come on up. Right? Then I'm going to take a breath. I'm inhale, come back, right back down. Right? And then my whole body's going to rise as I come up. Right? So I'm pushing down through each foot. I'm pushing down into each leg. I'm lifting the center of my chest. And everything's coming up with me. And then hitting the back of the chair and going up and over the back of the chair. And then on an inhale, on an exhalation, I come forward and bring everything more inward. Right? So one of the really great ways that yoga, okay, I'm going to talk for a second, hold release, come on up. So one of the things that yoga is constantly, when you think about moving and stretching and stuff, you can usually think about your body and it's stretching this muscle and that, but one of the really cool things that yoga does, that different yoga poses do, is they keep transitioning you from more inward to more outward, right? So like in some ways when you're backing up over your chair in a back bend, you're more outward. When you come forward, you're more inward, right? It's kind of like they say forward bends develop more inward awareness, back bends more outward, right? But it's what's really important is the contrast between the two as a form of exercise, right? So much we especially as we age, we lose the inward to outward and outward to inward as an essential form of exercise, right? So again here, as we're coming forward and back, I want you to be extra cognizant of the more inward energy as you come forward and down and don't see, you're looking more at the floor now. You're more inward. And then as you push down through your feet, pushing, I push with my hands, lifting my chest. My eyes start to go skyward and I start taking literally more light. And then I open up, right? I open the hood of the chest. And then come forward and watch the transition back to more inward, right? These are some of the really important contrasts in yoga poses. And then go back again, go open up. And then come forward and watch it go inward and watch your things get more in a smaller space. And then back up again. Opening, now really open the hood of the chest. Really extend from the inner groin down to the inner heel. And then on an exhalation, come forward and change the energy. Be forward for a second. Not just to lengthen your back, but to collect yourself, to be more inward. And then knowing you're going to transition that energy to more outward. Here it starts happening. Start pushing symmetrically, coming up and over. Opening the hood of my chest. Taking my head back if that's available to you. Broadening across the hood of the chest. And then exhale forward again. And then come back to center. Take a couple of breaths. So now, on this twist, right, we're going to come forward. We've done this before. We're going to come forward more and come down. So you're more forward, right, and down. So you've got this inward energy, right? So I'm hooking my arm behind my chair and grabbing here, but I'm letting myself be more forward. So you got to be careful that your feet are centered on your foot plates are on the floor. So you don't want to fall forward, right? So you got the more inward energy. And now twisting when you're more forward like this it's harder to do. But I want you to keep the inward energy and start to turn it open and skyward. So you're way forward, but you're trying to rotate open. Trying to let the center of your chest touch where you think the sky is. Good. And then revolve out of it, stay forward. And then grab the other way, coming down forward. I'm hooking the back of my chair, so I'm more forward, farther forward now. It's a much different twist than when you're sitting upright, right? And now I'm going to extend and open. So I'm keeping inward and I'm revolving open, right? And trying to reach the sky a little bit. Mm-hmm. Good. And then revolve out of it. Be in the center. Take a couple of breaths. I'm going to do that one more time. Forward, staying inward. Starting to twist the inward space. So you're staying more looking at the ground. And then you start to rise it. Right? You start to rotate and open yourself to the space in the room. But you're staying more inward. So the movement from in to out is what I care about more in this one. Good. And then revolve out of it. Stay forward. Go right to the other side. Don't take your head up. Right? Stay forward. Find the way you can get some leverage and start to revolve the other way and open up. So now you're in a more inward, smaller space, but you're revolving. Mm-hmm. Good. And then come on back to center. Be in the center. So to me, when I'm forward in a twist, the twist is more dynamic, but I have to be content with not going as far, right? So again, come forward and lengthen your back. And then inhale and start to rise up. Back of the chair, open. And then exhaling forward again. Now, I really want you to find your feet, your sitting bones, and start to lift your chest without coming all the way up. Just open right here. So we're doing like a form of cobra pose. Like if we were doing this and you were on the floor, you'd be on your stomach and just coming up on your forearms and opening right here, right through the spine. So notice what I'm doing with my shoulders. So I come forward, open the spine, pull my shoulder blades down, and rise this part of my spine right here. Mm-hmm. And then keep that hit back, keep that rise, hit the back of your chair, and go up and over. And then come forward again. Really activate the lift here, the elongation in the chest. And use that, push down with your feet, come on back, hit the back of the chair. Up and over the back of the chair. Mm-hmm. And then release one more time, coming forward, going more inward, right? Rising up in the beginning, then coming more skyward, coming back up over, right? And then inhale, and just come forward and watch the inward dimension now. Feel it, and then start to activate, rise it, and then go big, more skyward, go back, and open it up. And then release. Be in the center. Take a couple of breaths. Extend your arms. So I'm activated, so my palms are open, right? So we're revisiting what we took time on in the beginning of class. But I'm not doing it as hard now. I'm not notice my instructions. I'm not trying to get you to do it as hard, but I want you to revisit the intensity that you know can be here, but stay quieter. It's almost like you're visiting the pose from earlier. And as you breathe, see both poses, the quieter one you're in, the more activated one from earlier in the class. Now just take your left arm, bring it around the outside. So now we're doing a quiet, it's the twist we started with. Now you're going to do it slower and softer, staying inward. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. So you're twisting slow, but you're not cranking it. You're choosing space over squeeze. And then come on back to center. And go the other way slowly and gently, right? Figure where you want to place your hands. Inhale, lift up, exhale, revolve. And then come on back to center. So one of the keys to nonviolence, and so like the guy having a sore back last week, right? One of the keys to what I think, nonviolence is one of the yamas. So it's really important, and it isn't just a moral insight. One of the ways you study nonviolence in a yoga pose, it's one of the best ways to do it is to catch yourself pushing too hard. But that doesn't mean you don't work hard, right? It means you work intelligently. Nonviolence takes more awareness. It's not a pulling back, right? It's being more aware, and especially of the transition. If you develop more inner awareness, your actions will naturally start becoming less violent in the poses, right? So if you have the inward dimension more at your fingertips, it'll be distasteful, like a bad taste in your mouth when you crank your body too hard, right? You'll start to learn. The feeling will guide you to nonviolence, not your I'm not gonna be violent in this pose, and it's very often the transition between inward and outward where the violence can happen, right? So you're more inward in these poses where we're more inward, and then we start to open up into more space. That transition from here, if you stay with the inward as you open, you won't crank. You're not striving as hard with your will, right? So you're constantly this dynamic between inward and outward action and how they feed each other is exactly what I want all of us to pay more attention to, especially when we're doing chair classes, because if you strive too hard, you're going to irritate stuff in your body, right? If you work too hard. All right, so again, now we're just going to do a quick little prep for Shavasana. So I'm going to practice. I'm putting my hands on each leg. I'm being aware of symmetry. So it turns out that in order to feel more that holistic sense of your whole being, right, you have to differentiate. So in this beginning part, I'm actually doing a prep for Shavasana, right? Right. So my mind, each foot consciousness, each sitting bone, each side of my chest, a very gentle lift in the center of my chest, right? Where each shoulder is, my head is balanced over my neck. Because differentiation is the key, even in Shavasana, right? So I'm just taking some time to make sure I study the sensation of symmetry from side to side, keeping me symmetrically full. And then prepare for Shavasana. So that means putting some over your lap, right? But I wanted to get a sense of my whole body before I let this support, because you want the support. The bummer about doing Shavasana in chairs, you don't get to lay flat, but you want the sensation of support to reach the whole body. That's why we took a second to feel the symmetry. So my support is my backrest, my hands on my thighs, back of my hands, and forearms on my legs. You might have a table in front of you, a bolster. So find where your feet are. Let them go. Knees are sometimes harder to find when you're sitting. My eyes are closed, obviously, but I'm finding where my knees are. I'm letting the space on the inside of my knees let go. As I do that, I get a softening in my hips. So go to your hips on the inside and let them go. Now the inside of your shoulders. Let go of the empty space in there. Now your jaw and around the temples. Soften the inside of your mouth. Feel your breath. Don't change it. Thank your body. Thank it again. Start to bring yourself back. Slightly deeper inhalation, slightly longer exhalation. When you're ready, open your eyes and then close them again. And then open them for the week as you choose. All right, I can always tell when I've had a better yoga class for me, as I can usually feel it in Shavasana, where I feel like there's a little bit of fatigue, the hum's a little bit more, right? Like you can usually measure at first whether you worked your whole body. So, like in teaching this class, I definitely got my whole body engaged, and I can feel it when I'm in Shavasana, right? And so Shavasana measures also in its emptiness, in its relaxation, the fullness in which you practiced in the class. All right, everybody, hands together if you can. Namaste. Spirit in me bows the spirit in you.